Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Lisbon Live. My name is Gudmund Kjagner Jonsson. I have the privilege of being the founding principal of this new school, this new international school in Lisbon, Portugal. So thank you for joining. The aim of the presentation today is to give you information about the school. Who are we? What are we trying to achieve with the Lisbon International School as a new school in the beautiful city of Lisbon, in the beautiful country of Portugal? And also to provide you with an opportunity to ask us questions. So I'm going to share a presentation with you shortly. And as I run through the presentation, please feel free to put any questions in the chat. We'll collate those questions. And then towards the second half of the presentation, or the time allocated today, I will run through some of the questions that you have shared with me and the team. So without further ado, I will share my presentation with you. So the Lisbon International School. We are a new international school in Lisbon. We are located in the district of Alcântara, right in the heart of Lisbon. And what I'd like to do is to give you an insight into our story and our mission, our values, the reason why we do what we do as a school. It is an extraordinary opportunity to get to start a new international school anywhere in the world. And it is, I would argue, even more so the fact that we are in Lisbon, in the beautiful city of Lisbon. And in these beautiful buildings, the building there you can see is, or was, a pasta factory. It was built between 1905 and 1910. And we have, over the last 4 years, been lovingly redeveloping the buildings of the A Napolitana pasta factory. And you can see there the images on the right. So these are some of the images taken whilst it was living and breathing pasta factory. And you can see the women, primarily women who worked in the factory, producing the pasta for decades. And then some of the machinery there, this amazing machinery, which unfortunately we don't have. When we were given the buildings, all that machinery had long gone. But the architecture remains, and we have had to be extremely careful to preserve all of the original features of the building inside and out. It is a protected landmark, and a very important landmark. It has an incredible history beyond just being a pasta factory. So there it is. So we have soul. It is fantastic to be able to come into a building with this heritage, with this history, and to be adding a new and exciting chapter to the life of these buildings. Let me give you a brief insight into this video here. Shows you some renderings of the school, but you will also see in this presentation that we have actual pictures of the inside and outside of the school. Note that those pictures were taken actually about a month ago now, so much has changed. We need to update our presentation with some fresh and exciting imagery. But here you go, a little flavor of the Lisbon. So one of the main entrance areas. This is the early years. This is our auditorium. Typical classroom setup, senior school library, beautiful light spaces. That's our canteen. Science laboratory. Now we have opened up our buildings to tours for prospective families. So you'll see on our school website and also on our social media invitations to come and join. So you'll be able to book a tour where me and the team will be able to take you around the buildings themselves and show you all of the different learning spaces, the educational spaces across our campus. These pictures, as I say, were taken about a month ago, and much has changed since then. But you can see here, so for example, on the left-hand side, these beautiful bright spaces with all these amazing windows letting the beautiful light of Lisbon into flooding into all of our different buildings and learning spaces. But you can see there on the left-hand side and also on the right-hand side, the original features that have been preserved, wooden beams, steel beams that you'll see throughout the buildings themselves. And then in the middle, this is actually what we call the learning wall. So all of our classrooms have had this feature installed. And so this, at the heart of the learning wall, you can see there are two whiteboards. And you can slide those whiteboards to one side, and then behind those boards, you'll see a screen. And one of the important aspects of the Lisboan is that whilst we obviously want to make sure that we are incorporating and utilizing the latest technologies so that we can educate our children about how they can utilize and tap into all of this rich opportunity that technology represents, we are also very mindful of the fact that we need to be careful about how we use technology, that we teach for using technology responsibly, and that we also utilize technology in such a way that is mindful of the flip side of the opportunity, the potential negative impacts that, for example, extensive screen time can have on young people. So that's an important part of our learning design. You can see there further pictures from different classroom spaces of different. They range in sizes. Some of the classrooms are bigger than others, but they're all big spaces. We will be operating a maximum class size of between 10 to 22 students, depending on which phase of the school they're in. And we intend on opening our campus on the 1st of September with children aged from the age of 3 up to the age of 14. So that's the early years up to year 10 or grade 9 if you're used to the American system. So year 10 will be the first year of a 2-year secondary program. But I'll come on to the curriculum a little bit later in this presentation. But you can see there the actual floor coverings have all gone down in the classrooms. So you can see there are sort of panels that have been put down to actually protect the flooring that has gone down. In addition to what you see there in terms of the learning wall, we also have lockers that have gone into classroom spaces. We have made all of our furniture orders, so the furniture is due to arrive in July. And then we can start actually installing, for example, chairs, desks, further shelving units, etc. And of course, play equipment around the school, inside and out. You can see here the exteriors. So on the left-hand image, you can see what we call the pasta factory. That building was originally used to house water pumps for the manufacturing of pasta. On the ground floor now, we have our canteen area. This is where we will eat our lunch together. And then upstairs, there is our beautiful Lisboan theatre. And then there's also a basement level to this building as well, which we can use for a variety of different purposes. That building on the right-hand side, in the right-hand image, is a building we call the silo. And the silo was originally built to house or store all of the flour for the pasta factory. And it has now been converted into a parent welcome center on the ground floor. And then we have laboratories on the 4 floors above it. So a combination of science laboratories and also together with a makerspace, what we call the Fab Lab, where we can utilize technologies, for example, such as 3D printing, robotics, etc. I also want, one of the features I want to, or one of the opportunities I want to have for the school is also introduce a dark room, a good old-fashioned analog dark room. Apologies. I am here at home and I have two little dogs, and they bark when people on our front door. So apologies for that. Okay, next. Well, our staff. We have. I'm exceptionally proud of the staff that we have assembled that we brought to us for the Lisboan. We commenced our recruitment round for academic staff back in January. And it is safe to say that, well, I've never seen anything quite like the interest that we saw in the Lisboan in comparison to any other international school I've worked at. And I've worked in international schools now for over 20 years. For the various teaching positions we advertised, we had over 700, or sorry, just close to 700 applications. So we were fortunate in being able to select exceptionally strong and talented teachers from not only within Portugal, but also around the world. So here are just a select few staff members joining us in September. We have Samantha. Samantha is joining us, having had a range of experiences, teaching experiences in lots of wonderful schools. Has a teaching qualification from my old university, University College London, where I studied archaeology. And Samantha studies science. And a lot of our teachers have extensive experience in curriculum development and curriculum design, which is exactly what you want when you're starting up a new school. And she is also very strong in an area called philosophy for children. And we believe that it's very important that we introduce philosophical concepts. You know, what does it mean to understand the world around you? Just how do you think about the world around you? And to start that journey right from the early years through the primary school and up into the secondary school. And we also have Francisco, who is our music teacher. He is a multi-instrumentalist, can teach a range of different instruments, and he has a background both in classical and contemporary music. So exciting to have both Samantha and Francisco join us. We have Natalie, who is coming in as our teacher of English in the secondary school, and she's taught across different countries in Europe and international schools. And she will be one of the key people in our school to really foster a love of literature, of language, and of reading. One of the projects that we wanted to introduce or will introduce in September is what we call the Lisboan 100. So these are 100 books carefully selected from authors all over the world, tying closely in with our values, which I will come on to in just a moment. So the idea is that children joining the Lisboan, if they stay for the duration of or time at our school from the early years all the way through to year 13, that they will have read all of those 100 books of the Lisbon 100. And of course, we celebrate milestones along that journey as well. We have Kyriakos joining us as an experienced EdTech leader, so educational technology. He also has a background in music and STEM, and he will be a fantastic addition to our team in really allowing us to craft a rich and strong environment that incorporates technology so that the children get exposed to these different technologies and can be well prepared for life beyond the Lisboan. We have Cora, who is also joining us in the primary team, again, having worked in lots of different countries around Europe, and very much looking forward to bringing Cora onto the team in the primary school. One of the exciting aspects for me for the Lisboan is that we are located in this incredible city of Lisbon. Lisbon is relatively new to myself. I joined, or rather, I moved to Lisbon back in March, and I am enjoying discovering the city, discovering the neighborhood of Alcantara, and of course, with the eye of the founding principle of really looking for opportunities that allow us to not only bring our community into the school on a regular basis, but also for us to go out into our community on a regular basis. This is one of the key features of the Lisboan, so that we can draw all of these opportunities into our curriculum. We are now undergoing the project of designing the curriculum for Lisboan, and we have built relationships with a variety of organizations across Lisbon and Alcantara And of course, that is only the beginning of that journey, a journey that will continue to develop over the next years, or in the first years of life for the Lisboan. The idea is that, in terms of the educational experience that the children have, is that they come into our school, they live, play, work alongside children from all over the world. And so they learn about different cultural perspectives, different cultural traditions. Um, and the hope is that they learn that we share far more than divides us. We, as human beings, um, being able to make positive impact in their lives, in the life of our community, but also that they can then go out into the world, ready for life, having developed aptitudes for lifelong learning and being able to make positive impacts, not only in their own lives across their entire lifetime, but also in the lives of the communities they inhabit. Now, why do we do what we do as a school? There are many international schools all over the world. What makes us different? And I would argue that fundamentally it comes down to what we believe in as a school community. We want to create a community that is based on care, that is based on kindness, is based on integrity. And I'll come on to the values in just a moment. We have these three principles. We call them the BOA principles. And of course, BOA in Portuguese means good, which is a wonderful play on words and also reference to our Portuguese heritage and location in Lisbon. So the three letters here stand for belong, own, and act. And what does that mean in terms of an education? Well, research shows us that in order for children to learn and be successful in their learning and enjoy their learning at school, they are successful when they feel a strong sense of belonging. And so our responsibility at the Lisbon is to create the circumstances where we can all flourish and thrive and that we nurture that sense of belonging. So how do you nurture a sense of belonging? And fundamentally, it's about giving ownership to the community, to our children, to the teachers, and also to you as parents as well. That's vitally important. Because when you feel that you are able to contribute, that we create opportunities within our community whereby you can actually contribute your insight, your expertise, your experience, then that nurtures a sense of belonging. And of course, by creating the conditions whereby you can actually contribute, you are acting. So, in essence, these are the fundamental cornerstones of a strong education of belong, own, and act. So, in my mind, this is a beautiful way of encapsulating the fundamentals of a strong and exciting educational experience. Ultimately, this is a human endeavor. We have to create conditions within the school where we respect the needs of every individual and that we develop strong and trustful relationships nurtured by, or fostered, underpinned rather, by kindness, and where we can have open communication where there is a high degree of trust. Um, the curriculum itself, of course, this is vitally important for any school. We are a Cambridge international school, so I can characterize the school as a British international school. We're leveraging the strengths of the English national curriculum, and we're contextualizing that curriculum, drawing upon all of the different strengths and contextualizing it for our location in Lisbon, Portugal. So we utilize the Cambridge International Framework across the primary school, so from early years all the way through the primary years. So the early years school is on the ground floor of our main building, and that is a school within a school. So early years is basically age 3 to 5. And then from age 6 to 10, we have the primary school. And then we follow on into the secondary school in year 7. And year 7 goes up to year 11 for the Cambridge International Framework. In the last 2 years of year 7 to 11 are years 10 and 11. And in years 10 and 11, the students undertake something called the IGCSEs, or the International General certificate of secondary education. So this is where students start to have more ownership of, in terms of the different subject areas they can choose to study. And then again, following on in the last 2 years, we have the International Baccalaureate Diploma. So remember, we start the school from the early years up to year 10 in September. And then we add year 11 in the following year. And then we add year 12, the first year of the International Baccalaureate Diploma. So that will be in 2027. So that means in the following year, year 13 joins us. And then we would have our first graduating cohort of students in the summer of 2029. That'll be exciting. So another key aspect of the curriculum that is important to mention is that we employ a inquiry-based approach to education. So what does that mean? It means that rather than studying and learning about the world through these different silos of, I guess, what you could call the sort of traditional way in which we compartmentalize knowledge into different subject areas and disciplines, whilst that, of course, is important, where knowledge and understanding and meaning making comes alive, really comes alive, is when you actually start to explore themes and questions by bringing together all of these different disciplines in your learning. So rather than approaching learning through mathematics separate to science, separate to history, separate to geography, we can explore questions by bringing all of these different disciplines together to examine those questions. So that's the fundamental basis for the curriculum across the Lisboan. And that, of course, also provides us with exciting opportunities for not only the children maximizing their understanding and enjoying their learning, but also for our teaching staff to come together and to work together across disciplines to plan and design our curriculum and create exciting opportunities for the students themselves. A day in the life of students. Just wanted to give you a flavor of what a day might look like at the Lisboan for children. So we have Sophia. So Sophia is coming into our early years with all the other little ones. And the early years center at the Lisboan, in terms of the educational experience and the curriculum, this is a play-based approach to learning. So we want to make sure that our youngest children are developing all of the different skills that we're nurturing their growth and development in terms of their physical development, but also their socio-emotional development as well. And in order to do that effectively, we feel it's important that we draw upon their natural curiosity and their natural need for play. And really, that is something that we want to have throughout the whole school, all the way through to year 13. So you can see there in the morning, Sophia arrives and dives into play. And of course, by drawing upon play and curiosity, this is how we can best tap into making sure that we have that fun and engaging learning environment that, of course, has also structure, but really draws upon their interests. We have creativity. We want creativity to flourish everywhere throughout the school, whether it's through art or music or through drama, etc. We want children in the early years to go home with a bit of a mess on their clothing. It's important, to create that excitement and joy and to draw upon their natural joy. Where we have music and movement, we also have outdoor play. We have gardens that are attached to the earlier center, and they are exclusively for the earlier. So children can move between the outdoor spaces in the gardens and the play areas there into their classroom spaces. And then we have learning spaces beyond their classroom as well within the earlier center. So I encourage you to come and visit, book in, and to come on a tour. And nothing can replace me telling you about these spaces and then you actually seeing them with your own eyes. And then, of course, we have lunch. There's also snack in the morning, there's snack in the afternoon, and then home time. So Bella is in the primary school in year 3. So here you can see that her day, obviously coming in, we start the day, parents can drop off their children at 8 in the morning, and the day then starts at 8:30. And then we have lessons across the day interspersed with morning break and an hour for lunch, and then also afternoon snack. And then the day ends at 4. And then we have what we call the Lisbon experience or the co-curricular activities. And it's important that schools often call these extra curricular activities. And the language is really important. And how you use language within any organization is important. And we're being very intentional by calling them co-curricular activities because learning is important everywhere. It's important in the classroom. It's important out in all of the different learning spaces. It's important in our learning activities, in the co-curricular activities. So there's nothing extra about them. We have, of course, stack and play. There's lessons in music. There's one-on-one instrumental tuition in the school that you can take advantage of. We have sports. We have an indoor sports center where we have a full-size basketball court. And we also have facilities outside of the school, which I will come on to in just a moment, one of them being the Monsanto forest area just north of us. There's also the Escala 25 climbing wall, which is under the 25th of April bridge, and that's just south of us, and then heading home for our well-earned pastel de nata. And then Lucas, who is in year 10. So if Lucas joined us in September, he would be going into the first year of the 2-year IGCSE program. So he has hour-long lessons. Lucas will have hour-long lessons across the day. Of course, we have break, and then we have lunch for 1 hour and also afternoon snack. And here, Lucas has what we call the electives. So he has his core subjects, for example, English language and literature, mathematics, science, or sciences. And then he has chosen to pursue his interest in business and art. And then, of course, there is physical education. We have football training out on the Atletico football pitch, which is just north of us. And then he has an opportunity to study and also be mentored. We would like children to be able to mentor each other, older children with younger children, but also, of course, mentored by teachers and supported. And then has a music lesson out at the Lisbon Metropolitana Orchestra, which is again a facility, and the music academy is just south of us. So he does that for an hour and then he heads home. I should say that we also will have a second co-curricular activity which runs from 5 to 6, and that is an optional second activity. The idea is basically that children are able to choose from a range of different co-curricular activities from 4 to 5. So if they wanted to, they could take advantage of that every day of the week, bar Friday. And they could then go on to a second activity from 5 to 6. And really that is designed with the families in mind to have that longer working day. So there is flexibility. The idea being that for the Lisbon, there is a single pickup or single drop off and single pickup in morning and afternoon. So even if you had multiple children, we would always aim for that always to be the case, that there is a single drop off and single pickup point. We're also looking at the possibility of introducing bus service for the Lisbon. What we want to do is to encourage people to use public transport if they can cycle, if they are old enough and they are confident enough to use a bicycle, but also to walk if that's possible as well. And that is very much in line with our sustainability focus in mind. Technology I've mentioned. It's important that we educate for responsible and exciting use of technology so that we can ultimately, so the children can learn to master these technologies and not become beholden to them, so that they don't act as a crutch when they leave the Lisbon. I think nothing true. A recent episode in Lisbon where we lost electricity for about 10 hours across one Monday really brought home for me how beholden we are to utilizing technologies, not being able to have your mobile phone and send messages, etc. It's incredible how vulnerable we can be when we don't have access to these technologies. So it's important that in terms of the curriculum and the learning experience, that we are developing the learning skills within children, that they can become independent, should they need to be independent of these technologies, but that they can master them fundamentally, because they're going to be around in their entire life, and it's changing at such rapid speed that it's very difficult, not impossible, to predict where technology is going in 5 years' time, let alone when they actually leave the Lisbon and take the next step into their wider life. Um, we will have coding and robotics. We will have 3D printing, digital design. And I've talked about our learning wall and being very intentional about how children use screens. So we will have, for example, iPad trolleys in the primary school, and we will gradually and slowly introduce screens and how we use screens across the school. And then we will have what we call a bring your own device one-to-one laptop policy in the senior school. So basically we will give you a list of requirements in terms of the laptop or the device that families will then purchase. And then we can then support the use of those devices across the school. But again, being very, very careful about how we utilize those technologies. And as an example of that, we have, in terms of our intranet, we have filters that filter out any unwanted material online so that we keep everybody safe as we can in terms of how we utilize those online platforms and technologies. And of course, artificial intelligence is enormous. I mean, that's a huge area. And it is impacting everything. And of course, education is being impacted by artificial intelligence. And so that's part of our responsibility and opportunity at the Lisboan, is to educate our community about how we can leverage artificial intelligence, that we do so ethically and responsibly, and in ways which contribute to a rich learning experience, but at the same time educating around the flip side of the opportunity. For example, every single prompt that we put into an artificial intelligence or AI platform, for example, like ChatGPT, has significant environmental implications in terms of energy use and water usage. So this is all part and parcel of our responsibility at the Lisboan. We have decided to be what we call a no phone school. So I want to be clear that this is not about banning the use of technology. I'm never in favor of banning technology such as phones. So we want to make sure that we are educating for responsible use of these devices. There is emerging evidence to suggest that the use of these technologies can have negative impacts on the mental health of young people, negative mental health impacts. And so we want to make sure that we educate for responsible use. And so the idea being is that when the children come to school in the morning, they can bring their device with them, their phone with them, but then the phones are put away and they're stored across the day, and then they can be accessed when they leave school at the end of the day. So we want to make sure that we are spending time together, looking at each other, talking with each other, nurturing friendships and relationships. We feel that's vitally important. And it's also about educating you as parents about how you can then support that at home. Because, of course, one could argue that your home environment is more important than the environment they have at school. Certainly the school environment being a very important part of their lives. So I talked about the Lisbon experience, our co-curricular program. So this is about providing children with opportunities beyond the regular school day. And there is so much on offer. And as I say, this is a program that will continue to develop over the next years, because, of course, there will be new opportunities that we will identify, new relationships that we will build. But at the moment, as it stands, certainly for this first year, we have a wealth of opportunity. We want to make sure that children are being exposed to opportunities that allow them to develop different skill sets, team play, leadership opportunities, resilience. How do you pick yourself up and push yourself forward after your team loses a football game, etc. Of course, hopefully winning many as well. So we have relationships built. We have the Monsanto forest area just north of us, just north here in Alcântara, which is an amazing area of Lisbon, a green lung of Lisbon. And on the southern edge of the Monsanto forest, we have the Agricultural University Agronomia. So we will have an allotment there where we will go out and grow vegetables. The Monsanto forest, we want to establish a forest school. out in the Monsanto forest area. And a forest school, the philosophy behind a forest school is very much about re-establishing the connection that we have with nature, with a focus on engendering our stewardship of the planet and respect for our natural surroundings. I feel that's vitally important. Atletico Sports Facility is just north of us, several minutes walk away, and that's where there's a football pitch, and next door is a swimming pool, which we will draw upon for swimming lessons. And then we have the Metropolitana Conservatoire just south of us. So that's an academy for music, and there's also the orchestra. And then there's the Scala rock climbing wall, which I mentioned earlier. And then out on the coastline, on the river, we have rowing, we have sailing. There's the paddle club again, just south of the Scala climbing wall, and then out on the coastline, surfing. And of course, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We have the Sintra Hills to the north of us as well. There is so much to learn and explore in Lisbon and in Portugal. So that's just a few pictures of some of these facilities. There's the Scala climbing wall as part of the 25th of April bridge. We actually went out there for our April camp. We had a wonderful April camp from the 14th to the 18th of April. And we're also running a summer camp running from the 18th of August to the 1st of September. So that's an opportunity I would encourage you to look at very carefully. There'll be exciting daily opportunities across those 2 weeks. And a good idea, I would argue, a really great idea in terms of getting your child set up for their first day at school at the Lisbon, where they've already started to make some of those vitally important friendships. And so that opportunity in terms of our summer camp is already out there on our social media, and is also going onto our school website as well. And together with also the school tours that I mentioned earlier. We have the paddle club, again, just south of us. We have the beautiful agricultural college, Agronomia. The picture at the top there is actually a building that was built in the mid-19th century by the Queen of Portugal. She had that building built, and it was for an exhibition, and is now actually rented out by the Agricultural College for weddings and events. But we were out there in our April camp in that area, utilizing one of the buildings as our base. And of course, the allotment that we'll use there for the growing of plants and vegetables. We have the Atletico Sports Facility, that's just north of us, very close by. And next door to Atletico is also a swimming pool. The Metropolitana Orchestra, theatre there, auditorium. For performance, we have our own theatre, of course, but being able to go out and utilize their facilities and be engaged with opportunities for performance, etc., terribly exciting. We have the sailing club out by Belém, and also for rowing as well. I would argue that this aspect of the Lisbon is also what sets us apart from, I would argue, the majority of international schools around the world. And this is encapsulated by what we call the Lisbon Promise. We are part of a group of schools. We are part of a group called Artemis Education. So this is a British-based company. They have their central office in Doha, Qatar, and that's where they also run 3 of our sister schools. So in total, we are 4 schools, 3 based in Doha, and now the Lisbon based in Lisbon. And this is one of the key aspects or key DNA strands to Artemis and to the Lisbon that drew me in as an experienced head and educator. And that is our promise as an education group for the future, that we deliver a better planet to our children, to the communities that we inhabit. So for the community of Alcantara, but going beyond just our local communities out to the wider world. And we do this by fundamentally looking at 3 pillars in all of the decisions that we undertake. So when we are faced with a question, or we are faced with a prospect of a potential project, let's say, are we making a climate positive choice? We are facing a climate emergency. We are facing the loss of species of plants and animals on a daily basis, like we have never seen before in the history of our planet. We are sleepwalking our way through a disaster, I feel. So it's vitally important that this is built into the DNA of our curriculum and our education experience for the Lisboan. That we are also making socially responsible choices. Every choice that we make on a daily basis has implications, not only for the environment, but also for communities around the world, through the clothes that we wear, the food that we eat, and that we're having impact on our community as well, positive impact. So it's vitally important that I want the people in Alcantara to see our school as a community school, as their community center, that they are invited to come into our school quite regularly. The local dustbin men or women can come into our school, have language lessons, use our sports hall for free. So for those people who can't afford it, we offer it for free. For those who can, we charge a fee, to cover our costs. So it's vitally important that we provide opportunities and that we make decisions around these three pillars of our Artemis Promise or our Lisbon Promise. Another aspect of that is, for example, that all of our staff, they give 1 day of pay into what goes into the Artemis Foundation Fund. And then we, as an education group, we make choices around which projects to support around the world. We aim to overstaff our schools by 1 to 2 teachers every year. And you, as a teacher in our school, you can apply to go on for example, a 12-month sabbatical or leave from the school, paid fully by us, to go and support and lead on one of the Promise projects. And fundamentally, it's about providing opportunities, educational opportunities for our children in our schools, so that they can be active participants in these projects, and in some cases actually travel out to those projects to make a positive impact as well. For you as founding parents, you are a vitally important part of our community. And so the relationship that we have is key. And we want you to be instrumental in shaping our school and shaping the direction of the school. So whilst it's our responsibility as the founding team to really set the bedrock and to build the foundation of the school, you have the opportunity to then help us take the school forward and shape and develop it and put your stamp on it. I think schools are often not necessarily the best of places in actually drawing upon the expertise and experience that both teachers and parents have, and students themselves. Students are also a vitally important part of this. So I welcome you to come into the school on a regular basis and to offer your services, to volunteer, to help, and to create new, exciting educational opportunities for our community. So I briefly earlier mentioned our adventure camp that we ran from the 14th of April to the 18th, and it was a fabulous, fabulous week. Taking the children surfing out on the coastline. We were out in agronomia, learning to use our creative problem-solving skills in developing all these different types of structures, from sticks of bamboo and rubber bands. We went to a skateboard park and we learned the basics of skateboarding. And we had art activities, etc., creative activities. So a wonderful, wonderful week. We went on the climbing wall and so much more. So we will run that camp again in August, from the 18th of August to the 1st of September. And as I said, you can go onto our website and also see information on social media through Instagram, Facebook, etc., to see further information about how you can sign your child up to the adventure camp in August. So that brings me to an end of the presentation. And my wonderful colleague, John Searles, who's been sitting in the background patiently during this presentation, has been collating your various questions. And John is now going to share those questions with me.
For sure. I would just want to, we've received them through other means, but that is open to anyone who else wants to ask questions. But we have strangely some personal ones that came in that I'm thrilled to ask you.
Yes.
So one of them is, what has surprised you the most so far with the Lisboan? What has kind of been like, oh, that's interesting?
Where do I begin? It's been, I have to say, I've worked in international education for over 20 years now in so many different countries. I'm originally from Iceland, and me and my family have this amazing opportunity to join the Lisbon and to come and live in Lisbon. Um, there's been so much. I mean, the school project itself is worthy of, I would argue, a Netflix series. There's a book in there. Um, the passion of Artemis Education in nurturing and developing this project and overcoming the numerous challenges. I mean, it is, can you imagine identifying um, a historic building in the center of one of Europe's most vibrant cities and looking at this building and saying to yourself, yep, that can be an amazing international school. I mean, that takes vision and that takes guts to take on a project like that. And over the past 4 years, the Artemis team has done an amazing job and shown a remarkable degree of foresight and resilience in driving this project forward. So it's been a pleasure to get to not only work with the Artemis team, but also the Lisboan team. We have a founding team, a small but growing founding team in Lisbon. We have a office space just next to the school buildings. And it's just been an absolute joy and a pleasure to work with the team. So much enthusiasm, so much positivity, so much energy. And where we all throw our hat into the ring and just say, right, here's a problem, we're all going to solve it together. So that's been really refreshing. It's very different to come into that kind of environment as opposed to being in an established school. I've worked in lots of different types of schools that are young, schools that are very established. And the culture of a school, and how you create school culture and then develop it and nurture it over time, particularly through periods of change, is fascinating. So that's been maybe not surprising, it's just been thoroughly enjoyable. Um, learning about Lisbon and its history, it is such a vibrant and dynamic city, and it is undergoing a lot of change. And of course, that change brings about lots of positive aspects, but it also brings about challenge. So it's been fascinating to learn about the city of Lisbon. I've just begun exploring Portugal. I haven't ventured very far yet. Um, and of course, the school itself, in terms of what it represents and what we're wanting to achieve, we're being incredibly ambitious. We're wanting to be forward thinking, yet rooted in tradition, drawing upon the best of what education has shown us to work over the last decades, but at the same time, really drawing upon some new and exciting research around education and being quite innovative and forward thinking.
Very nice. Okay, one question that's coming hot off the press is about food.
Mm,
What will the food at the Lisboan be like? What is the general diet of
yeah.
expectations?
Yeah, so food is obviously a hugely important part of the school day. So we are in the process of contracting an external company that basically will come in and run our kitchen and food service. And so we actually went out to visit them, I believe it was last week, where we spent a day seeing their facilities, uh, tasting and eating their food, and getting to ask them lots of questions, and they could ask us lots of questions. So we're basically wanting to ensure that we have a healthy and balanced diet across the day. And so I think without a shadow of a doubt that we've achieved that we have a good variety in terms of what we offer across any given week and any given day, and that it's healthy and that it's nutritious for all. Um, it's um, it's vitally important that we get this right, and I believe we have got it right. So for your information, what we will do at the Lisbon is that all children will eat at the school. So there isn't the option of bringing in your own snack and lunch. It is basically that this is really done for two reasons. One, it allows us to have good oversight of what our children are eating every day. And it also allows us to manage some of the challenging aspects of children bringing in their own food, etc. And that's primarily around things like allergies, which is really important that we get that right.
Good. So this question is kind of just personal from an American. My son has lived in one town his whole life. How would you
Yeah,
expect his move to Portugal, to Lisbon, to Lisboan going?
that's a great question. Yeah, I mean, it's. I would argue that your move from anywhere to Lisbon will represent an incredibly exciting new chapter in your lives. I would say that in order to best prepare that transition, I've worked in schools where students in the school have primarily been from the local environment. I've also worked in schools where we've had an incredibly diverse makeup of international families. And certainly the Lisbon, I think, will be a mixture of the two. We will have a really diverse and vibrant international community, and also a great, wonderful, supportive Portuguese community as well. I would say I would recommend that in order to facilitate this new adventure, this new chapter in your life, is to give your children as much information as possible about, provide them with insight into the school, what the school environment is going to be like, um, to what is Lisbon going to be like in Portugal, to start to learn the language as well, the beautiful language of Portuguese, and to maybe even try and identify places in your town or in your vicinity where there might be, I don't know, a Portuguese cultural center or a restaurant or a community that you could tap into and start to build relationships in your understanding of your move. Um, and of course, what we're open to as well in terms of us, for us as a school, is we're happy to meet online with you as needed and to meet your children so that they can actually start to get a feel for their school environment and for the people that they'll be seeing on a regular basis, people like me, but also some of our teaching staff and our founding team as well. So yeah, try and just try and provide as much information as possible, make it fun, make it exciting, but also I think be realistic about some of the challenges that you might experience because it's a huge change as well. So start to have some conversations around what that challenge might look like to allow them to really come in with eyes wide open.
Yes. Okay, we have two more.
Yep.
Just because I know we're running short on time, so I'm going to. How would you imagine parent involvement at the school? What do you expect from current parents who are enrolling to be kind of
Yeah.
as part of the school?
Yeah. So we will have so the equivalent of like sort of a parents association. Where all members all parents signing up to the school automatically become members of that association. And so the association will have regular meetings together where you can come in and utilize our facilities, come into the Parent Welcome Center, utilize our auditorium or meeting rooms to be able to come together and talk, have coffee mornings, etc. But I would also like you to come in and to be able to offer learning opportunities for our students. So if you have a particular area of interest or particular area of expertise, come and talk to us about what that might look like for the school and for our children. And of course, organizing different social events, both within the school and outside the school, being participants or supporting with, theatre, music productions, etc., exhibitions, running workshops for parents. I think it's really important that we run a regular cycle of workshops across each term, educating around, for example, our curriculum, educating around different aspects of childhood development and how families can best support their own children. So I would encourage you to have as much engagement with the school as you feasibly can offer. Absolutely.
Great. What is the service element? This is the last question I can get to. I do want to say that if there are other parents who have submitted questions, please do
Mhm.
reach out to our admissions. Goodminder will get those questions or even just we can book a personal time to meet. But let's get this last question and then we'll close up. What does the service element look like? Is there service opportunities coming for the school? Have we made any relationships, partnerships where we will be able to help serve the community around us?
Yes, service is obviously a vitally important aspect of the Lisbon promise. That's a vitally important part. And it also it forms a vitally important part of every phase of the school, from the early years all the way through eventually when we come into year 12 and 13 for the International Baccalaureate Diploma. Service is also a formal part of the International Baccalaureate Diploma for years 12 and 13. At the core of the curriculum are three strands which underpin the entirety of the curriculum. And that is a course called, one of the courses is called Theory of Knowledge. Basically, it's a course about the nature of knowledge. So there's a second aspect to that, which is a program called CAS or CAS, and that's about creativity, action, and service. And that's basically a learning program that the students themselves design with our support, and it needs to cover all of those three areas of the of creativity, action, and service. So we want to be able to go out into our community regularly to support. For example, there's an old people's home very close to us that I want to form a relationship with, so that the children can go out and support the people in the old people's home by, listening to them tell stories, and for us to be able to shape and design activities for them and invite them to come into our school as well. And there's also a local soup kitchen. There's the local church, which we're forming a relationship with, and they also do lots of community service work, which we want to support. And I should point out that we're not affiliated with any official religion as such. We are we are a non-religious entity, if you like. But it's important that we connect with people in the community so that we can foster that sense of service opportunity within all of our young people in the school. But it's not just about our local community um, and going out into our local community. As I say, it's also about bringing our community into the school and be able to offer them opportunities. So, for example, offer free language lessons, and for the children to be engaged in that and supporting that and designing that opportunity as well. We are open to your suggestions as parents in terms of any ideas that you may have. As I say, we're building the foundations, the bedrock of the school for September and beyond in the first year. And there is huge opportunity and scope for you to come in with your ideas about any other service opportunities that we can create together with not only our children, but also our teachers as well.
That's it. Okay, that's great. I think there are more questions, but like I said, I encourage parents to email admissions. We will book private calls. We just have to close this up in the next 2 minutes. So.
Thank you, John. Maybe you could just before we conclude, tell us how we can how parents can book the parent tours that we are offering for the Lisboan.
Just want to send that message. If you are going to our website, the-lisboan.school, if you scroll down just a little bit past the video, you will see center, hopefully as big as we can do, but not too big, to book a tour. And through our system, you do not need to have any previous interaction with us to book a tour. It will register it as an inquiry, but we are happy to start presenting our beautiful building to all our parents and interested parties. So yes, so on our website, we'll do that. And we'll also have it off our social media, Instagram accounts as well.
Perfect. So look out for that. Thank you, John. It's been a pleasure to thank you for coming to the presentation today. I hope you found it useful. And as John said, any further questions you have, you can email admissions at the-lisboan.school and engage with our admissions team, and look forward to hopefully meeting you at some point in Lisbon soon.